Hello everyone, welcome to the video series on Python tools for data science and machine learning, and right now we are talking about Python Pandas. This is the second video on Python Pandas series. I hope and believe that you have watched my first video. Now let's go ahead and start this video, and in this particular video we are going to talk about some of the most used functions of Python Pandas and understand what is meant by them and what we can achieve by calling them. Okay, so let's go ahead and start. We have to import pandas as well as numpy. This is the basic import which we will do before using pandas. Okay, so let's go ahead and create pandas data frame from a CSV file. We have seen this particular code in earlier video and we are going to use the same file over here. So I have read pandas.csv file, and here is how my data frame looks like. So basically it's the 7 records, record number 0 to 6, which contains name, programming language, years of experience and salary grade. Now once you create a data frame, okay, if you want to see the columns, the column headings of the data frame, you can use columns member, which will give you all the columns of that particular data frame, okay, as an object. Now if we want to check the values of a particular column, we can just give data frame dot the column name, like this, data frame dot name. Here you can see all the values of the name column is presented over here. Now let's see the another column called programming languages, and in here I have used array notation to give programming language column, and I will get all the data of the programming language column. Now you may ask that here I am not using any array notation and here I am using array notation. I have to do that unfortunately because programming language is not a single word, right? I cannot write df.name programming then space language. There is no way for the data frame to realize that something after programming or space is name of the column. In fact, the best way is to use the array notation itself. We will get the same results all the time. So let's use that notation. I have just shown you the other way of doing it. Okay. Now, if you want some good information about data frame, you can call info function. It will give you not only all the columns, it will give you non-null count, which means how many records are there which are not null, and data type of all those records. In here you can see only years of experience is int 64. Rest everything is object because they are text. Okay. Now let's analyze the index. If you just say data frame member index, you will get a range index, start with 0, stop at 7, step at 1. So this is the way basically the row index are being created in pandas data frame. But what if you want to create an index which starts from 1? You do not like the default value start from 0 because not everybody is comfortable with that, especially people who are not very much into computer programming. Okay, so you can do that by changing the index with a numpy array. So in here I am changing the index to a numpy array. I am using numpy.arrange function. I am starting with 1, ending at 8 with a step of 1. If you have seen my numpy videos, you know that this is excluded, so it will generate number 1 to 7. Okay. Now if we go ahead and see the data frame now, the row index number starts from 1 and goes till 8. Okay. Sorry, 7. And if I see the index now, it will be int64 index. Earlier it was range index. Now what if you want to change the index of a data frame but you don't know a number of rows in the data frame? Very simple. You just have to use len, built-in len function, and pass the data frame. It will give you number of rows in the data frame. So the other way of generating a row index from 1 instead of 0, this is my data frame right now. I will use the same numpy arrange function, but instead of passing number 8, I'll pass length of data frame plus 1, and in a step of 1, and this is how my data frame will look like. I can even change the steps, okay, but you need to change the length accordingly. So be careful about that, okay? Now, let's talk about getting the values from the data frame. In all probability, whenever you want to observe a data frame, it is highly unlikely that you are going to extract all the data, all the rows, to see how the data frame looks like, or do some kind of at least visual analysis to the data frame. However, you can extract data frame, every row of a data frame as a numpy object. So if you just see the data frame values, you will get a numpy array with all the rows of data, which means that you can just say values 0 for row 0, values 1 for row number 1, and so on and so forth. Now let's add a new record in the data frame, new row in the data frame. I will say LOC new index, and it's just a repetition of second record. Let's see how our data frame looks like after B is added as a new record. Okay. Now we know that in all the records there is a probability that the duplicate records will be there. That's why I have added a duplicate record. You can get the idea of duplicate records within your data frame by using a function called values count. In here you can see that the record number B is duplicated. Okay, so it's a very good function to understand how many duplicate records are there. Okay, so let's see the data frame once again, and let's talk about mathematical operations in Pandas data frame. Now, when I talk about data analysis and machine learning, it's all about mathematics, right? At the core of it, it's all about mathematics and working with numbers. So, data frame, just like numpy, helps us to do mathematical operations. But in this particular case, maybe this particular data set, this particular example data set or example data frame is not good candidate for it, because there is only one field, years of experience, with a numerical value. But nevertheless, let's see what happens when we call mathematical functions on this. So here is our data frame, and if I just multiply the data frame by 2, what will happen? Well, everything will be multiplied by 2, which means non-numeric values will be repeated. Okay, just like A, C, C++, B, B, A, all these things are repeated. Okay, so if we want to do mathematical operations on a particular column, we can extract that column and apply mathematical operation for. In this particular case, I will use ilog function, all the rows, column number 2. Here is column number 2, which is years of experience, column number 0, 1 and 2. And I want to multiply it by 2. Everything will be multiplied by 2. Even with the LOC, I can get years of experience and multiply them by 2, which means every element of the column is multiplied by 2. Now, we can also slice the complete data frame in the same way. Now, you remember in the last video, we talked about head function, which by default takes, gives you 5 records from top. But you don't want to look into top 5 or bottom 5 record. You want to look into something middle of the record. You can just use the slicing in case of data frame and get the records. So in here, give me record number 0 to 2 excluding 2. Okay, so if I say -1, everything except the end element. Sorry, I should say everything except the last row. And I can say 1, 2, let's say 5, I will get 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so if you have seen my numpy videos, you know about slicing. The same slicing concept works over here in data frame as it is on all the rows. Okay, so that's all for today's video. Thank you all. Thanks for watching. We will meet again. Until the next time we meet, good day, goodbye. You take care.